Hi Shweta, welcome. Good morning.
Very good morning, Ira. How are you doing?
I'm great, and we were just waiting for you and chit-chatting a bit. So we yesterday we had a fantastic day one, of the third MHC. It's a global conference, and I was just talking to our audiences. We have this time around 44 guests, the top names in the low carb space, talking about addiction and other aspects of low carb. And smashing session absolutely yesterday, and second day's lineup starts with you. So let me start the session with Shweta. I'll start by running through a quick introduction. I am Ira Sahai, the Chief Operating Officer of D-Life Healthcare Private Limited, a proud D-Life certified metabolic health coach, and the lead host of the third Global Metabolic Health Conference organized from India by Shashikant R and Anup Singh. D-Life is India's first and only award-winning low-carb platform founded in 2014 by Anup Singh, a silver medalist from IIT Roorkee. Anup is also the recipient of the Icons of India Award. He pioneered the low-carb movement in India in 2012 with his path-breaking protocol of 100-gram carbs per day that made not only low-carb but also type 2 diabetes remission on low carb possible for even Indian vegetarians, which is a very complex carb-based plate. So this is about D-Life and me. About Shweta. Shweta is a public policy and media professional with 25 plus years of experience across venture capital, technology, and media organizations. She's the president and CEO of the startup policy firm and Industry Alliance for India's New Age companies. Its members include many of India's most successful startups, including Razorpay, Cred, Oyo, and many more. Shweta spent 18 years as a business journalist with leading media organizations actively covering the economic policy making landscape in India. An award winning journalist, Shweta has traveled regularly as part of the Prime Minister's delegation to cover global economic events such as the IMF, World Bank meetings, G20 summits, and more. She has been the recipient of many national and international awards, including the British Shivning Scholarship for Journalism by the UK government, the Ramnath Goenka Award, and many more. Shweta, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here. Yesterday, Dilip and Pankaj Pachauri ji were here and they kicked off the session. And today we have you. Very, very delighted to have you, Shweta.
Thank you,
And
Ira.
for those who may not know, Shweta is also my mentee, and in that way, I am her coach. And very, very delighted to have a mentee like Shweta. Very sincere. And when people talk to me about not being able to follow, I give examples of people like you and Dilip, and despite being very, very hectic schedules, you have stuck more or less to the protocol. You're doing very well. So let's begin, Shweta. It's been a couple of months since you started your low carb journey, and couple of good months. Please tell us the brief issues that you have, and how do you finally find the LCF journey? How has it gone for you? Enjoyable, sustainable? How has it changed you?
Thank you, Ira. Firstly, I think you're very gracious. You're calling me a sincere mentee, and I don't think I'm as sincere as I'd like to be. So there's room for progress there. And I think you've been hugely, hugely supportive and cooperative. So a huge thanks to you. I think we started sometime in August, if I remember correctly. And, I reached out to you because a colleague of mine, a former colleague now, Ushma, pointed me to you, and she sort of nudged me to start looking at, metabolic health and trying to get a coach because I was struggling. Like I've always struggled with multiple health issues since childhood, right from, I would say, and all of those, incidentally, now that we realize is a pattern of autoimmune and metabolic issues, which, as you know, while medical science is so advanced, but very often it's hard to connect the dots and try and find out if there is possibly a common cause. You tend to cure one disease, but you don't realize the underlying causes. And I think since a child, I've struggled with tons of issues, right from endometriosis, and later in life had, discovered that I'm actually celiac and gluten intolerant, and then, gave up gluten at some point. And then now struggling with thyroid, which in itself is, as we all know, can be quite debilitating in its own ways, including weight gain issues and many other problems that come with it. So realizing a spate of autoimmune diseases and a very, very demanding career that I've had all this while naturally health tends to take a backseat, and you don't focus on it as much as you'd like to. But I think at some stage there was a realization that you've got to fix some things, and I'm so glad that I was directed to you, and then you and I started talking. And I think for me, what was intuitive was someone like a colleague of mine who has been on a low carb journey. I don't think she just follows the same philosophy, but hasn't been part of D life, but could, like word of mouth works like magic, right? Because you're like, oh, this works, like this really works. And then, for me, what was easy was that I had been partially low carb, in the sense that if you're gluten intolerant, you're anyway not eating half the thing, so there's no wheat in your life. But then I was a rice lover because there was no wheat, right? So I think talking to you, engaging with you, and moving from there to a complete low carb lifestyle, I think has been transformative.
Yeah, and Shweta, you've done very well. I mean, you just said that you would like. Of course, there's room for progress, but you are an example of how people can still stick to low carb, even despite their very hectic schedules, and something like you have. So, Shweta, let's talk about this entire metabolic health conference thing that we are organizing from India. And it's a big event. It's a global event, and as I said, a while back, 40 countries, people, speakers from 40 countries, 40 sessions, sorry, and from many countries, including UK, USA, Ireland, India, South Africa, and many more are participating. And these are the top names in the low carb space. I mean, these are not just anybody talking about addiction to dietary guidelines to so many seed oils, a lot of sessions. So how do you see the impact of all of this, of D Life and in the Metabolic Health Conference, now when India is especially battling with an epidemic of metabolic disorders?
So, I think first, what's most important is awareness. And I would say that I'm someone who's been a very, very private person. Even though being a journalist or a public policy professional, your professional life is very public. But as a person, I'm very private, and I have a very clear demarcation between personal life and professional life, and like to keep it that way. But I think one thing I've realized, more recently, especially when you look at people having very open conversations, being very vulnerable about their struggles, being very open to talking about issues that you otherwise may think are too personal to you, is that yes, I think a lot of us have to first spread awareness, speak up. And the fact that today I am here, and I would typically not say yes to something like this, which is talking about your personal health, talking about your issues, is because I think if we don't take this into a movement, we're not going to see many people realize that they perhaps are not aware. Like something as simple as, gluten intolerance. A lot of people do not know they're gluten intolerant. I did not know, and I have struggled all my life. I've been through multiple surgeries, so many health issues. And if only I'd found out earlier in life that I am intolerant to gluten, maybe I wouldn't have faced so many health struggles. So, given the fact that half the times things either go undiagnosed, or you do not know what you're struggling with and what the solution is, and it may not always lie in medicine, it may lie in just lifestyle changes. I think that is important, and that's why I would say remarkable work being done by D Life, by you, by Anup and Shashi, in making this into a movement and in trying to at least spread awareness about it, because that's the first step. And which is why I'm here, because, as I said, normally I would not do this or do any endorsements, but because I've seen that change in the last 6 months, and I definitely feel better. I can feel that with those lifestyle changes, my body is responding. I think everybody should at least give it a try if they feel they fit into this bracket of having the metabolic health disorders that require that lifestyle change.
Yeah, Shweta, how do you summarize the entire? Because a lot of times, we hear basically people who do not want to change. I would put it like this. I mean, you have a problem, but you still do not want to change, or it's not just a diet, as as we always talk about. It's a complete lifestyle change. You have to unlearn and relearn the right way to eat, and therefore, that's how you improve your metabolic markers. But a lot of times we hear people with simple changes, and they find it a bit difficult. And I was just having a conversation with Dilip and Pankaj yesterday, and both of them said the same thing. I personally follow low carb, you follow low carb. It's very, very sustainable according to me. How did you find the changes? Because you had almost everything on your diet protocol, as far as I remember, and we have talked about it. You had everything. I mean, let's not disclose the, diet protocol itself, but let me tell our viewers that Shweta enjoys a lot of things. She has access to the real life recipes, and more or less, she's nothing is out of bounds as far as the diet protocol is concerned, except for, of course, gluten and a few other things that she may not be able to tolerate. So, how sustainable is it, Shweta?
I think I would be very honest in saying it's hard. Change is hard because of two reasons. One, any lifestyle change comes with either a wake up call or a determination. Like, you can keep telling 100 people make those changes, but till that switch doesn't change within your head or you wanting to do it, it will not happen. So it requires that one moment where you're like, this is it. I've got to make some lifestyle changes. That is one. Two, I think the environment doesn't allow you. It is not conducive to it. And which is why perhaps that hand holding and having you as a coach was helpful, because I mean, I cannot even thank you enough, because we literally have a group with my cook and you on the group with you directing the cook how to even, cook a certain meal to you, even, hand holding and guiding and wanting those pictures of what one is consuming. And you need that level of discipline, which is hard. And I'm still saying I am anything but disciplined on it. But the fact that there is at least a realization and commitment that you want to make the change, and two, then your environment has to support it. It's very hard when you have, I would say a demanding lifestyle of travel, of socializing, of general cravings that will possibly make it harder to make that change. But I think it just happens with awareness. It happens a lot with word of mouth. I think it happens a lot with conviction coming from someone you trust and say, okay, it worked for you, it can work for me. So
Yeah,
it's
and I
a
remember
combination of
yeah,
factors.
yeah. I remember a conversation, Shweta, recently in Delhi at Dilip's, get together, where Shweta was saying, and I want our audiences to hear it. She was saying that, if whatever she's given me on the protocol, when I eat it, I'm fine. But some days when I think, I should have something quote unquote nice, and I end up eating that, I am inevitably hungry later. So that's the satiety that we are talking about, the satiety from food. So no calorie counting, Shweta, right?
No, none at all. I mean, one has tried apps, one has tried other things, but I think what works magically with your diet protocol is that you actually give a lot of nice things. So I will not say you don't give nice things, but it is very fulfilling. I think the only effort that goes into it is sticking to it and making sure that you have that availability. But in terms of feeling satiated or not feeling like you're on a diet at all, in fact, you're mostly feeling full and comfortable. I think that's what works. And the mindset change. It's all about a mindset change and making sure that it's available. Like, it's hard here at times because, even if you want to follow it, you're not on a flight food is invariably carbs. I mean, even if and it's amusing because most people won't understand. I'm constantly on my frequent flyer programs listed as gluten intolerant. So I will get, a gluten-free meal on a flight, but that gluten-free meal is not even edible. So, and then I just say, you know what, forget it. I'll just go with
Yeah.
the regular meal. But then the regular meal will have carbs. So then what do you do? So now it's like moved from I don't take gluten to I don't take carbs, and it's hard at times. But the choices are there. It takes a little bit of effort, but if you put in that effort, it shows the results. And I also want to say again, like I was saying, that endorsement coming from, so when you told me about Dilip, I did call Dilip and speak with him, and I said, you know what, Ira has worked with you, what do you think? And then he was obviously endorsing. So I think that helps, because when people truly endorse and say that lifestyle change, and I think what's most important is that this is not just about losing weight or fitness or looking good. It's about feeling better. And you just feel better on a certain diet and with those certain lifestyle changes. That's what's most important.
Yeah, very, very pertinent insights there, Shweta, personally, as well as, about the low carb protocol itself. Finally, what is your message to, this entire conference that's happening to the work of D Life? Please tell us.
I think few things that we've said. Number one, let's all spread awareness, because very few people. I think what you did for me and our initial conversations were, myth busting. I think that's very, very important to help you understand that, okay, if you're consuming too many eggs, is that unhealthy for you? Because that's a misconception we've had. In fact, that's what my former colleague Ushma and I used to laugh, and she used to say, you know what, eggs have the worst PR in the world because
Yeah,
you know
correct.
because we there is this assumption. You and I still have a debate around consuming too much meat and the impact on cholesterol. And we keep saying, I keep telling you, I want more scientific evidence around it. So I think conversations are important. Myth busting is important. Hand holding is very important. And like I said, awareness, spreading awareness, if all of us can do that. I would still say, Ira, more work to be done by DLife and others in establishing a more scientific, believable link between what we think. Because for me now, the picture is clear, right? Autoimmune, you have multiple autoimmune when you have autoimmune. So, there is an endo, there is a celiac, there is a thyroid, and then the common link between these three is you don't have to go to a gynecologist, you don't have to go to a gastroenterologist, you don't have to go to, so each of those super specialities, maybe there is that one common link that can solve so many health disorders, is to me, I would say, the most important fact that I've learned through this journey.
Yeah, Shweta, one pertinent point I would want to, point, across to you being a very, very well-known media person. Somehow, I mean, DLife has done Herculean work. It's a globally known organization, and in India, it's the founding organization of low carb movement that was started off by Anup. But somehow you always get, media always covers the other aspect of calorie counting and the usual nonsense, and the press that DLife should get, or as Pankaj Pachauri ji said, this event should have been held in the Vigyan Bhavan. It's that significant. And DLife's history has been 10 plus years of, endorsed by global low carb stalwarts. In India, I think it may take some time for people to come to know, because a lot of jingoistic so-called health coaches who work on calorie in, calorie out model, which is nonsense. So I think people like you, when they join in and amplify the work that we are doing, we hope, it reaches more and more people, and we will look up to you, for your support and for you to spread the word around also.
100%. Like I said, that I usually do not believe in endorsements or talking about personal struggles. But this time around, when you called and I said, you know what, this deserves it, because we should all spread the movement. And, a lot of people are now coming out and openly talking about issues like health struggles and sharing solutions. So if this works for you, nothing like it. The other thing I would just say is that India particularly is a very carb heavy, market. We need our, I mean, it's a joke, right? That आपने दाल रोटी नहीं खिलाई है, आपने अपना butter chicken naan नहीं खिलाया, तो आपने dinner नहीं करा है, So even if you have to serve a meal, even if you have to, there is carbs in our diet, and heavily so. So I don't think we grow up thinking you can have a low carb diet. So that mindset change is required, because for us, we need that roti, chawal is very important part of our diet.
Yeah, and just to add to that, you can have roti, you can have puri, you can have everything. The tweak of ingredients, that's all you need. And Shweta has the access to DLife recipes as well, wherein Shweta, you have cheesecake and stuff like that. So I would urge you and both the cooks, I'll talk to them to make all of these. So there is no limit. I think low carb is very liberating without the guilt. And you reverse your conditions and lose weight. I mean, that's not the target, but that happens anyways. And weight melts like butter, as I always say, on low carb, and carnivore even more. So I hope you enjoy the low carb diet, Shweta. Your journey has been fantastic. And
I hope I stick to it, Ira. That is more important.
yeah, so I'll get back, because you had asked for January sometime, January end, when you would get back in the loop. Shweta has been very busy with the launch of her own, company, and it's a big thing. If you go to LinkedIn, you will check her profile out. So we will get back in the loop after we are done with the MHC. And Shweta, thank you so much for coming and speaking to us. It's a very, very important global event, and your voice matters. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ira, and thank you for the wonderful work that you, Shashi, and Anup are doing. Good luck to you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.